Welcome to Social Work Sunday Tea. I am Shakia Houston. It is a great day to be alive and well. Today is what's today? February 13th, 2022. Make sure that you like, subscribe, share. Make sure you tag your family members, your friends, post it on your group pages, all of the above. We have a great topic of discussion. We have a special guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Hi, my name is Lakeisha Walker, and I am a human sex trafficking survivor, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Honorable Women Inc., which is a nonprofit organization in Chicago that I started to help survivors and thrivers who were victimized through human sex trafficking.
Cool. Thank you for being on Social Work Sunday Tea. I'm definitely honored for you to be on this platform with me to share your story. I just want to know, like, as far as like, okay, we said the topic of discussion today is human trafficking. Just want to give a brief overview of trafficking. Um, there are three types, common types of uh, human trafficking: sex trafficking, forced labor, and debt bondage. And we definitely so that's the definition of it. But Miss Lakeisha, she has her story of this. If you would like to share with us, and we can
Yeah.
go from there. And making people aware. That's the thing, making people aware of what's going on, how it need, like what are the signs, things like that. But you're going to tell your story, and I'm so glad that you're a part of this and you can be able to share and to let everybody know what's going on in the world, because people really they don't really talk about it as much. They don't talk about it. We don't really discuss, because we kind of like sweep it under the rug. But today we're not going to do that. We're going to let your voice be heard and known. And yeah, so it's definitely needed for the people, for the culture, all of the above. If you can just share your experience, and everybody, if you're listening, if you like, subscribe, and and share this message. Miss Lakeisha, if you can just give us your story.
Okay, first, I feel the need to educate you on some of the
Sure.
words that I'll be using
Okay.
because everybody might not be familiar with the verbiage.
Yes.
So, the first thing is human trafficking. Well, human sex trafficking is the coercion, force, or manipulation from one individual to another through sexual exploitation. That's the first thing. And that is what I was victimized. I was a victim of when I was 17 years old. But also, pimps. What is a pimp? For those who may not know, a pimp
Mhm.
is someone who basically, well, I'm not going to say what a pimp is, but I want to tell you what a gorilla pimp is first. So a gorilla pimp is someone who comes in forcefully, is extremely abusive, and uses tactics like manipulation,
Yeah.
mind control to control an individual, right? And then a Romeo pimp is someone who uses mind manipulation. They'll come in sweet. They'll try to romance you,
Mhm.
and they use less force, but the
Mhm.
ultimate goal is still the same, which leads to sexual exploitation. So I just wanted to give a little bit of education on that before I told my story. So when I was
Okay.
17 years old, um, I'm walking down the street and I met a guy. And prior to that, I need to let you know that both of my parents are crack addicted, because this plays a huge role. So I had absentee parents. I bounced around through DCFS, and I didn't
Mhm.
feel any love. There was a lack of love, a lack of attention. There was an extreme low self-esteem that I carried around with me secretly. So I meet this guy walking down the street, and he asked me for my phone number. So I mean, that don't seem really strange, right, for a normal teenager. So I
Yeah.
gave him my number. I thought he was cute or whatever. So he started to talk to me, and he started to do what we call grooming. He started to groom me. He started to tell me
Mhm.
that he thought I was beautiful. He thought I was amazing. He told me things like he was my best friend in the world and that I could trust him, whereas I didn't have anybody else that I could trust. And I believed him. And it came to a point where he dared me one day to go into a exotic, well, to go into, I'm trying to think of a better word than strip club, but I must be totally frank, right? So he
Yeah.
dared me to go into a
Yeah.
strip club, which is like a
Okay.
place where there are exotic dancers.
Right.
And
Right.
he said, I dare you to go into this strip club. And I'm like, I can't go into no strip club because I'm not, pretty. I'm not beautiful. I'm not whatever. And he like, yes, you can. I dare you. If you don't do this, then you're not the person who I thought you are. You know. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking in my head at 17 years old, like I gotta do it because I don't want him to like look down on me like I'm not, like I'm scary or whatever.
Yeah.
Because up until this
Yeah.
point, he's manipulated me into thinking that he thinks that I'm the best, right?
Yeah.
So I agreed to go into the strip club. I'm not thinking that it's going to be an immediate thing. By the end of that night, he pulls up in a car and he's like, we're here. We're at the strip club. So he tells me to get out and go inside. When I go inside the strip club, there's other exotic dancers waiting on me, probably about maybe 3 or 4. And then there's also another guy, which I didn't know who he was, but he was like sizing me up, like almost like taking
Mm-hmm.
measurements. The girls had like already had like my, I guess, stripper clothes ready or whatever it is. And they
Mm-hmm.
convinced me to go into the back. So I'm looking back. So at this point, I'm kind of like extremely afraid,
Yeah.
but I feel like I just got to do whatever they telling me because what choice do I have? Like I've never been through this.
Yeah.
I had no knowledge of human sex trafficking or anything like that. So I go in the back. When I go in the back, they get me all dressed up in this costume. And there I was. Now I'm an exotic dancer, literally overnight. So they kind of just took me out there, and guys like was paying for just dances at that point. Now, a lot of people ask me, why didn't you go to the police at that point? Why didn't
Yeah.
you run away? Because I was just freaking out. I mean, I was
Right.
17 years old. My
Yeah.
mentality was like many of our children, many of our teenagers. So I didn't really know what to do. So I'm going back and forth to this place for about 3 days. At the third day, all of a sudden, the first guy disappears, who was the Romeo pimp. Now the gorilla pimp tells me, you're going to do what I say. And there's no getting away or none of that. And he slams my head into the window shield. So at
Mm.
that point, I knew he meant business. He told me that he would kill my family. He would kill me, or if I told anybody. So basically, that's when he started to like force me to literally have sex with people for financial gain on his end.
Yeah.
I began to try to get away. At this point, I could still go home. It was like, I was going back and forth. He just had me basically manipulated enough with the physical abuse and mind manipulation where I would go home and then I would come back. And my grandmother had no idea really of what was going on because I would have on different clothes and I would just change my clothes, like as soon as I left out the
Mm-hmm.
door. But because I kept trying to get away, he then puts a gun to my head. Now this is like after about 2 weeks, and I'm just constantly trying to run off. I'm trying to run away. Like every time he would send me with a trick, I would tell him, and I should have mentioned like what a trick was too. That's just basically the person that the pimp or predator sells you to. So I
Yeah.
would tell him like I really want to get away. Like I'm doing this by force. Can you help me? And they would try to help me. And in the process of them trying to help me, it made the pimp at the time basically beat me up because whenever he would find out, oh, you trying to get away, then that was a reason for him to like beat me like worse or whatever it was. So he decides to trap me. So he takes me to this house. He got the guns on my head and he's like, we're gonna play a little game. And he's playing like Russian roulette with the gun just clicking it. And I'm guessing it wasn't a bullet in it, but with all the miracles that I've seen thus far, like since all of that happened, it could have been a bullet in there, and I just believe that God just spared my life,
Yeah.
honestly. But he was like
Absolutely.
clicking it, like we're gonna see if a bullet come out or whatever. So I'm just completely traumatized at this point. He locks me in a room with bolted locks, won't let me come out, and now he's bringing guys to the room to sleep with me, and it was nothing I could do. Um, because he would beat me, every single night. And at first I would try to fight because I've always been a fighter, at heart. So I would try to fight and all of that. And it just made the beatings get worse. He would rape me every single night. He was definitely a narcissist. And I speak on this all the time, like, especially like on Clubhouse and everything. He was definitely a narcissist because he would just, it's like he didn't want me if I wasn't fighting. It's like he got off my pain.
Yeah.
And it just came to a place where I was just like, I need to survive. So in order to survive, I'm gonna have to just do what this man is telling me to do, whatever it is he's telling me, just so that I can, eventually get out of here. Because he wasn't really trying to let me go. There was times where I couldn't even eat anything. Like he always, talked about my weight, made fun of my weight. He would bring people to come and view me like pets. So there were people that knew that I was trapped in this house, and they did nothing to help me. It was like a joke, like a joke to them. And I was like chained like a dog. I would have to bark like a dog. If I don't, he'll beat me, just stuff like that you wouldn't even think really exists. And it does. It's like a whole nother dark world out here. There were people in uniforms that was coming to pay for me. I must mention that it was just people that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
So you could see why I was afraid to tell anybody. I felt like would nobody help me. So it
Yeah.
finally came to a point where I got him to trust me as much as I possibly could. And he says, okay, since you're doing everything like I'm saying, I'm about to send you out to the streets. So this particular night, he sends me out to the streets. Before I go out there, and this is on downtown Chicago, and there's like, they say it's something that's shaped like an oval, and it's like a lot of prostitution going on downtown Chicago. That's where he takes me to. I said in my head, because he was filling me up, I'm just trying to get the story out as quickly as I can.
No,
He's
it's
filling
cool. It's cool. We got time. We got time. We
like,
got time.
alcohol every night. He
Yeah.
putting like ecstasy pills in my drink. Like it was no hard drugs, but ecstasy pills in my drink. Because I'd be like crying hysterically, just freaking out and all of that stuff, so that I could be, as he say, the way he wanted me to be. So that just goes to show you how, like, my head was just so cloudy, I couldn't even think straight, right? I'm half the time. And I said to myself, because I had grew up in church, Lord, cover me. That was the only thing I could think, Lord, cover me. I don't know why I said it that night. I believe I said it because I was thinking either Lord, cover me, or I'm going to end up killing this man. Like, I'm going to go to jail for murder, because it got to a place where I just could not take it any longer. And so he puts me on the street. So I get out or whatever. I was forced to watch pimp movies prior to, right? He would play these pimp movies over and over, like, you better learn the game and all this stuff. If I don't, I'm gonna get beat. Everything, if I don't, I'm gonna get beat. So I'm walking down the street. I'm running into like other, I guess, pimps, but I'm not knowing they pimps. I'm thinking they just tricks or whoever they are. And I'm just like, can you please help me? Can you please help me? And they're like, you're reckless eyeballing, which is something that they have in the pimp world, where it's like, if you look at somebody in their eye and you're considered to be a prostitute, they could take all your money or they could beat you up, pretty much, right? So I'm running. I'm just running for my life, clear heels and all. I'm just running past, whatever. One guy takes out a huge butcher knife like this big, and he's chasing after me. Then there's another pimp, I guess, that was, because this is their normal area. I'm the one that's, you know what I mean, out of place or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's another one that's like driving in a car, and he's like after me, just yelling, calling me out my name and stuff, like, come here or whatever. So because I won't come, he gets a gun out and just starts shooting me. So I'm just running down the street, running for my life, ducking and dodging in alleys. And this is downtown. You would not believe that this is what downtown turns into at night, right? All of a sudden, this guy pulls up in a black SUV. So I flag him down. I'm thinking like it's a trick again. So I hop in the car. Can you please help me? I run for my life. I got everybody trying to kill me and all of this. He tells me, okay, I'll help you. Let me pull over and get out and just meet me at the corner. So I knew something was like strange about that situation. So I'm thinking to myself, this is set up. Something don't seem right. You know what I mean with this? Next thing I know, there's police sirens coming from everywhere. So because, again, I didn't know anything about human sex trafficking, I'm thinking like they're about to lock me up. So now I'm heading out from him. Now I'm thinking in my head, if anybody has something with God or anything, like, that's where I'm going to go, right? So I see this guy with a huge tattoo, like it say like God on his arm or whatever, while I'm in the process of running. And he's standing up there with like 5 other guys. I run to him and I try to quickly explain to him I'm in trouble. I'm running for my life. Some people trying to kill me. At this point, my shoe broke off, so my foot is bleeding, and it's like I can't do no more running, on foot. So the
Right.
guy allows me to get in their car. They promise that they're gonna take me far away from there, and I don't have to deal with it. So I get in their car. They take me far away. They said they was having some type of convention. So I go with them. I'm crying. I tell them the story. Once I get out, they tell me, go in there and get cleaned up, take a shower or whatever. I go in there, I take a shower, but I'm thinking I'm safe. Come out the bathroom. All of them are waiting to further, victimize me.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking quick, like, what can I do? What can I do? So I'm just like, okay, well, let me just talk to whoever I see is steady saying stuff and they seem like they're in control, because maybe he can get the other ones to like leave me alone. So that's what I did. I basically made a deal with the devil, for lack of a better term. And I just was like, can you please keep them off of me? Like, if I just give you what you want, and can you call my pastor, right? So he said, okay. So I had to literally sleep with him just so that I could, break free pretty much. He did call my pastor and she negotiated for my life back and forth. They went back and forth for maybe about 20 minutes before he finally agreed to take me to the church, because she was willing to come get me. And this is like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
He takes me to the church. So at this point, it's like maybe 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, right? I literally fall into the door and everybody's just crying and praying over me. And that was the way I had gotten free.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was my baby.
It's okay. It's okay. We got
Guys,
kids. It's okay. No, your story. Wow. That's you don't look like what you've been through.
thank you. I appreciate that.
You don't at all. And I really, this is my first time. This is our first time ever connecting and then meeting. And yeah, you definitely don't. I didn't think you was going. I didn't know the magnitude of your story, right? And some of this stuff, you see this on TV, right? You see it on TV, but you never really hear somebody's story.
Right.
Not in real life. This is in Chicago, you know.
Yes.
And I just, I'm taken back because it's like, okay, beautiful black woman, queen, and you look amazing. Like I thank God he spared your life like that because you had purpose, and this is where you, um, the foundation of what you have now, your organization. Um,
Yes.
yeah, that's man, that's amazing. God is
Thank
actually absolutely actually real,
you.
and he can definitely rescue you. That was in the nick of time. There's no
Yeah.
telling what those other people would have done. He definitely had his hand on you. And I want to say thank you for sharing your story with us. Some of the things, I don't know if anybody had any questions. I was just tuned in to you. So let's talk about your organization.
Yeah.
But no, let me ask this though.
Yeah.
Like your mindset. What is your mindset now? Like 17-year-old you to now.
Yeah,
What's
and
the
I'm
mindset?
35 years old.
Okay.
And what my mindset is now is that I totally 1000% believe that I am a messenger by God. I feel like that was the only reason why my life was spared, is so that I can be that person for others. And what I was going to mention too is that, as if I didn't already go through so much, the
Right.
after effect of this was just, to me, it was as weighty as me being in the lifestyle. Because once, my family like discovered what was going on, and which they didn't even hear like everything, they just knew like that incident, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed, because I come from a religious background, which is why I believe in having a relationship, not being religious. But I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody about what happened at all. It was like, don't say nothing. You're an embarrassment to the family, and just keep it in. As a result of me keeping it in, I ended up trying to commit suicide 3 times, right? And when I would go and talk to these different therapists, and they'd be like, why are you depressed? I wouldn't tell them nothing. I would just sit there and just look like, you know, they knew something had really happened, but I couldn't
Yeah.
even speak. My words was like it was like snatched from me from all the trauma I went through or whatever. So then they would just pile on a bunch of pills, you know, and call it a day. Like we got another suicide attempt
Yeah.
until I one day, like I was telling you earlier, I met a wonderful therapist who was like a naturalist, and she believed in digging deep and like taking the time to really get to know me and making me feel comfortable. Like she didn't force my story. She just let me feel comfortable. She kind of
Mhm.
reminded me of you actually, but she got me comfortable
Yeah.
enough. And then one day on my own, I told her I had something that I've never told nobody and I want to share it with you. And she encouraged me to share it. And like you just said, she also encouraged me just to be the voice for so many others who were hurting. And
Yeah.
that changed my life.
Yeah.
And she got me just to writing down like my thoughts, and we started working on my confidence, and I started getting therapy double time with her and my pastor. So it was like double, like spiritually
Yep.
and
And yeah.
physically. And
Yeah.
it changed my life, and I'm just so grateful for those people along the way. Now, what mindset am I in today?
Yeah.
Because of those wonderful and amazing people in my life, my mindset is let's stop human sex trafficking by any means necessary. And I mean when I say any means, I'm
Yeah.
talking about like if one of our girls or one of those young ladies call me and they in trouble, if
Yeah.
they got something that they need, even if they don't necessarily want to leave the lifestyle just yet, because what I call it is you got your people that's being forced, but then you got your people that's like willing workers that are being manipulated and they don't realize that they're being manipulated. Do
Yeah.
we turn our back on those girls? Absolutely not. Because guess what? I'm going to do the same thing my pastor did for me, which is just be that safe space. And
Yeah.
still, you know, just last week, I went and took a girl some stuff. And I was like, you ready to come out the lifestyle? She was like, no, I'm good. I just need stuff. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
you have to stand steadfast and unmovable. Look, not to
Yeah.
get into the Bible, but
No,
it's
no,
just
no.
so it's
No, you
like
good.
I stand there like strong. We stand
Yeah.
there strong and just being that support for them so that when they in trouble, when they realize what I know is gonna happen, just like in domestic violence, we know how it can end. We know that the person is not gonna change, right? So in
Yeah.
my head, I know it's not gonna change. At some point or another, you might be in a dangerous situation. And that's when you'll call me at 4 a.m. and I'm gonna answer my phone and I'm gonna really go.
Yeah.
So that's why we started this organization, because I felt like I didn't have that outside of like just my pastor and like I told you, the therapist that I met along the way.
Yeah. Someone asked, how long did you live in that situation?
I was victimized for 6 years.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, were you able to get that individual arrested?
No. And that's a whole nother thing. I was not. I did eventually like do like a partial report, but going through the whole process of going to court and doing all of that, I wasn't interested then. I'm not interested now. And I feel like once a person is traumatized and you're not able to be free mentally, you're not able to just do whatever it is that you want to do, because you it's basically the new age slavery, right?
Yeah.
I think that a person should have the option to handle the situation however they want to handle it moving forward. And after I went through so much hell on earth with that person, I feel like whatever's gonna happen to him gonna happen regardless. It
Yeah.
don't have to be me going through the whole thing all over again and reliving it in that way. I really just want to save my energy just to help people come out of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're definitely doing that.
Thank you.
One thing it stuck out, like how childhood, your childhood, you said that your parents were addicted to substance abuse, well,
Yes.
substance, drugs, and like and I have to bring up adverse childhood experiences,
Yes.
where things from childhood can affect adulthood, or and things in childhood can develop into spiral into other things, right? And that's where we have the
Yes.
self-doubt, the low self-esteem, the oh, I'm not pretty enough, and not getting that validation, like your parents, their parents kind of like is the makeup of how you are, the structure.
Yeah.
and as far as your mindset back then at 17, it's a lot going on in Chicago. I ain't gonna lie, you got so many people, things, and I like how you talk about grooming. It's a lot of men out here, they're grooming women into being what they want them to be. And a lot of people don't want to talk about that part. Uh and I'm gonna ask this question: what are your thoughts on? Because I know everybody, they really didn't talk about R. Kelly, right? And what are your thoughts on that? In that, being in your situation, and then now everybody is speaking out. As far as with the R. Kelly thing, and in the girls, and things like that. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts were, well, first of all, it shouldn't be a time limit on speaking out, because
Yeah,
I mean, it took me all those years before I finally felt confident enough to speak out and safe enough to really speak out.
yeah,
I think, like I said, trauma will snatch your voice. That's why people go through molestation, which I was molested as well, and they don't say nothing like for so long. So that's number one. Number
yeah,
two, I love R. Kelly as the artist, but I think sometimes we have to separate the artist and the gifts of a person
yeah,
into what it is that they actually did. So I feel like, honestly, when I watched that on, what was it, on Lifetime, I
yeah,
could barely get through the whole thing. Like, it made me feel like I wanted to cry, because a lot of things that they mentioned I did experience, which made me believe them, to be honest, because
yeah,
I experienced like pretty much all of the things that they said. And it's just an ongoing spiral with people who are traffickers.
yeah,
And a lot of times, like I said, they are narcissists as well. So if you look at, I don't know, like if people are aware, like with the narcissistic tendencies, but a
hmm,
lot of people who are narcissists are also in positions of power and things like that, where they
yep,
can
yep,
have easily and just make it like you the person that's
yep,
bad or whatever it is. So to
yeah,
me, I could see it being true. I'm not gonna never say I don't believe a person whenever they, especially when they say they went through the things that I went through, because I feel like the things that I went through might sound like extremely far fetched for some people. Like if you never like really been through nothing, it'd be like, oh my God, this is like a movie. But this
yeah,
really happened, and
yeah,
it's still happening like every day, especially in Chicago.
yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, it's definitely happening, but you definitely opened my eyes. I'm like, like, just look, I'm like, you do his like as if it's a movie, or how the NYPD Blue, and you hear the stories, and it was like, oh, but to actually hear somebody's testimony, and to be able to say, okay, I survived this, it's like, whoa, some of the viewers, they were like, God bless you,
Oh,
blessings
thank
to you. Yeah, definitely, because people need to hear this. And whoever's listening to this, you can definitely get out, and be able to, regain yourself. Um, definitely. So let's talk about your, if anybody have questions, y'all put it in the chat, for Lakeisha. Yeah, but we're gonna talk about your organization. Um,
yes,
and now we know why you started the organization. So just give us a, let's talk about your organization. And I definitely want to help, any way that I can. And I'm not saying it because we're just doing this on the live, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know.
I actually care about people. And and if they, if it's all about a choice, if they want to, they know when they want to get out. People get tired when you get tired enough, as the old folks say, you'll be like, all right,
Yes,
it's time to get out. So let's talk about your organization. But I'm definitely gonna be in tune with you and connecting. If anybody else want to help as well, but no, like, you know yeah, just let's talk about the organization, your organization.
okay. Okay, our organization is Honorable Women Inc. And the way I came up with the name, well, God gave me the name actually, but
Yeah,
I was thinking, what is the opposite of me feeling like this terrible person, even though I wasn't. That's how I felt, right?
Right.
So the opposite of that terrible person would be to be honorable, right? So
Mhm.
Honorable Women Inc. And we have prevention services for our teenagers, which we have a program that's about to start March 5th. If anyone has teenagers that um, maybe they're going on the wrong track, or maybe they're not going on the wrong down the wrong path, but they just need a little bit of extra guidance as they journey into adulthood. That program is for the teenagers 13 to what is it, age 13 to 19
Okay.
years old, and we're bringing in like some powerful speakers, and we're doing like giveaways to them. And it'll be speakers, those who have experience, like I have, different types of experience, like about drugs, what else?
Yeah.
Human trafficking, just you name it, credit counseling, just anything that we feel like, self-love talks, anything that we feel like could help them as they journey from teenager to adulthood so that they don't end up going down the wrong path. And then our other programs are for, we have the ones who we call, what do we call them? Our outreach programs. And that's for the people that's actually out there, and they may not necessarily want to come off the streets. They may be manipulated to a degree where they feel like I'm good, but we'll just go out there and we talk to them and give them stuff. We pass out like food, clothes, condoms, whatever it is that they need at that time that we could help them with. And sometimes we might have our number like on the back of like condoms or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
basically they could just reach back to us like whenever they get done and tired of the streets. And
Yeah.
then lastly, we have a program for survivors, and that's our first steps to freedom program. And that is, well, I created that program because like once I came out with my story and everything, people kept asking me like, but how did you get to the point you're at now? Like, I don't get it. How did you get to the point you're at now? So I felt like it would be healthy to create a program that will help them and teach them how I got to the point I got now by
Yeah.
just reaffirming those healthy things that I did, like self-help talk, and
Yeah.
just basically coaching them on how to love yourself. And then it's nothing like being surrounded by a sisterhood where you feel like you among your own. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this a whole nother little group. You know how everything's like group dog.
Yeah,
So
it is.
this is a group of human trafficking survivors, and even the ones that's not, like our volunteers that's not, I literally would train them, and I received like certification for that as well through like the USA. I'm gonna tell you later, but I received human
Yeah.
trafficking
Yeah.
certification. I didn't even need that, but I still received it so that I could make sure that I'm properly training our volunteers and all of that, to be sensitive to
Yeah.
like others and what they're going through. So it's like a graduation at the end and everything with that program. But yeah, I'm excited about, we just help. I get on our website, love is action, action is love. Our website is honorablewomeninc.org.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
because I literally live by that. And that came from my pastor actually, about love being action. She always taught that like love is action. If you
Yeah.
love somebody, I should feel your love. Like
Yeah.
where's your helping hand at? It shouldn't just be just like I love you. You know what I mean? So that's where we got that from.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And
Thank
listen, I like how, like you incorporate, your oh, do you accept donations? What
you.
are things your organization need?
Absolutely. Donations we accept through our Cash App is the $, and then it's Honorable Women Inc. And then we also have PayPal, and that's also
Okay. Okay. We're gonna put that in the chat. You said honorable
yes.
women Inc. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's the cash app. Okay. Okay. That's awesome. What was the question I had? I just had it in my head, Lord. But no, that's awesome. That is awesome. Like, can you tell us some of the signs, like when you I don't know, like I'm gonna say this as a mental health advocate, therapist. I see some of the signs and symptoms of certain things. Like I'm like, oh, okay, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Are you like you're the same? Because it's like, you know what it is. So what are some of the signs of women being in that situation? You know, um, what are some of the things that you have encountered with other women to let you kind of like figure out like, okay, yeah, they're going through this or that, dealing with sex trafficking?
Well, one thing is when they don't give you eye contact, that is a huge one.
Okay.
For a long time, I couldn't give eye contact because it's just something to do with that trauma, that severe trauma, and also just the trafficker or the pimp,
Yeah.
just them beating you all the time, and that pimpology or whatever you want to call it, and they teach you about the eye contact. So them not giving an eye contact. Another big one is them being muted, like in voice. Like remember when I told you I couldn't speak? So
Yeah.
I came off real timid, even in the work, like, when I had a job, corporate job, and it was just like, she just so timid. Like she's sweet, but she timid. I was timid because of that I was hiding.
Yeah.
So that's a huge sign, like somebody being timid, or if they seem to be afraid, like, just kind of looking like somebody about to get me and somebody after me. That's another big one. Like you would be talking to them, even now, like on the streets, like you would be talking to them and it's like they like in a rush, in a hurry, they gotta hurry up and go because they don't want to get beat or they don't want to get, in trouble. That's another huge sign of it.
Okay.
And
Now
I
you were the okay. So like, were you the only one, or it was multiple women in the same, as far as like him being the pimp?
No, there was at one particular time another girl, but she ran off. So I was considered to be the bottom B. Like I could literally do a whole education class on this thing.
Okay.
But with the bottom B, that's like you like the best person to get the money or whatever it is. So a lot of people pay for you and buy you or whatever at the top price, which is why he was serious about taking my life if that's what it took, if I didn't want to stay.
Mm.
Because I just could remember just whole shoe boxes worth of money, and you would think he would let me go, and he still wouldn't let me go. And one particular time, just to make a long story short, I had a friend who had met him, and she thought that she was just dating him, like he's a nice looking guy on the streets. And now I'm trapped. I was
Mhm.
trapped in the house. He brought her to the house, and didn't know I grew up with her my whole life. So her name is Charmaine. I must say her in every interview because I feel like she tried to help me, break free. Even though it didn't work, she really tried.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he brought her there and she was just crying and stuff, like, oh my God, he got you, he got you. And she was like, I'm gonna try to get you out. So she literally spent the night with us for like 2 nights. And she had got these guys to try to get me out. And like he had took us to like a party and she had the guys pull out guns or whatever on him, thinking that would set me free. But instead, he put a gun in my head because he knew, how to get me scared. I'm like, he gonna really kill me. Like, y'all don't understand. I gotta go with him. So they just screaming like, no, no, don't go. And I still just went with him,
Mhm.
and that didn't help. But I definitely just appreciate her because it takes that type of confidence if you really want to help somebody, and not to
Yeah.
say you're supposed to like just risk your life. I think the best thing to do is call the human sex trafficking hotline or the police, wherever you are. But I'm just saying, if you are one of those type of people that just feel like you just want to take that chance,
Yeah.
it was that boldness that possibly could have helped me break free. So I just really appreciate that.
Yeah. Definitely. Um, Someone asked, "Are you still in therapy? And was it difficult for you to move on in other relationships?"
Absolutely. Yes, I am in therapy. Okay. I love therapy. My therapist want to put me out. My therapist feel like like I don't even need therapy. I think the reason why is because at first I couldn't talk at all. Now I'm just, you can't shut me up. I mean, it's just like I don't care. This is who I am. I'm gonna say how
Yeah.
I feel. I love the space that I'm in now. I'm in a much happier space. But I
Yeah.
do, like all Joseph says, I believe in therapy, and I feel like everybody should have therapy. We not talk that in the African American communities,
Yeah.
but it's something that's needed. And also, as far as my relationships, um, I think that I'm more selective. But
Yeah.
I was like, after I went through that, I struggled. See, I got to be real about what happened after.
Yeah.
After I went through that, I struggled. I came into contact with a couple more narcissists. I came into contact with a couple more abusers, and the reason why is because I really didn't know. It's like once you're free, if you don't really get no help, you don't really know how to identify,
Yeah.
like that the predators, or even why. And it wasn't until I dig into myself and my
Yeah.
childhood pain, like with my therapist, just
Yeah.
about me not having self-love and stuff like that, that
Yeah.
I started to be able to identify. So am I single? Yes, I am single. um I feel like if a person cannot match what I'm
Yeah.
doing right now, like, and just who I am at this point in my life, then I'm just not trying to date them, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. No, I feel you. Go on about your way. That's, I mean, I definitely feel you on that, and I admire that, your
thank you.
courage to even speak about it, and the safety net. We need safety, a safe place to air out our thoughts and our feelings. And I like how you post about Maya Angelou. She was raped,
Yeah.
and she was silent. She didn't say nothing, like, and now, well, of course she passed away, but like her voice, it ringed out to the nations. So I say that to you. I
Yes.
say it to you. And this is, I mean, the story, the healing, and I can see it on your face. You can smile. And we are smiler. We smiling. I'm smiling at you. We smiling
But
at each other. And
it's still right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
It's
definitely.
that pain. And that's why I try to teach the people, like, it's an everyday process. It
Yeah,
really truly is. Like, you would think like I was over all that, but now I am to the point of being able to live a healthy lifestyle and, to
yeah,
be in a happier place. But I feel like it's a everyday
hmm,
process of me making my man up to just be to not, what am I trying to say? Not conform to what he said I was, which he told me I would never be.
yeah,
Nothing, just so much evil, awful things. And it almost be like an echo thing in your head.
yeah,
But it's like, well, this is what I tell our ladies. Just like you've been brainwashed to think negative, you got to be
yeah,
brainwashed to think positive. So that
yeah,
is an everyday thing. I'm every day, like I'm still doing those affirmations and whatever it takes, just
yeah.
to like bust through the doors to be like, I am not who you said I was. I always say this on interviews too, because I be feeling myself. Like I
Okay,
am
shoot. Let me gas you up when you're done.
like at all. And I am better
Yeah,
than that. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I just hope to be an example. Like, I'm not perfect, but I hope to be an example to like people that might be in the storm and might feel that shame, because I went through shame for a long time.
yeah,
And just to know that you don't have to feel shame anymore. Like, you can speak up. I'll speak first
yeah,
and
yeah.
pave the way so that you can openly speak up and have a life after that. Because that don't define you. That's only a small part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank
I
you.
say, yeah, God bless you. God, wait, may God continue to bless you and your ministry. Strong woman. That's what you are.
Thank you.
Yeah, you definitely persevered through the toughest time. And it only we had better now, greater and better. So
Yeah.
I just, appreciate you coming on this platform to, talk about, your story and your journey. And and whoever's listening to this, like, open up your mouth, like, it's like, and I think, with family and friends, sometimes we're too afraid to speak up. Like, I'm the opposite, like, honey, no, and and create those safe spaces, and not to feel that guilt and that shame, because that'll hinder a lot of things, your growth, and your
Yeah.
self-worth about yourself. And I just admire that about you. Definitely a
Thank
hero,
you.
because a lot of
But,
people, uh they haven't gotten out of that. Or, do you know of anyone that was killed?
oh,
uh
yes. I seen a lot of girls be killed even early on. Like them first little 3 days that I was just in a strip club, it was people getting killed and all of that stuff. So yes. And that's why, like I said, a long time I felt guilt for several reasons, not
mhm,
just the guilt of and the shame of what I did. And I thought that I had just did something wrong because I didn't know about human sex trafficking. I only knew about human sex trafficking or human trafficking for the last 10 years.
mhm,
Um, so I just had like, oh my God, I did something wrong. But I also had guilt just from me surviving And I
Hmm.
felt like, who am I that I should survive? It was almost like a self-pity thing. And I tell people often that I kind of had like a victim mentality in a way too. I'm open and I'm real. You see this? This
Yeah.
is what you become free. You got to be real about it.
Yeah.
But I had like
Absolutely.
victim mentality, and I was just like, who am I that I should be the one? But the real question is, who are you not to be? Like that quote, you know that quote. Who are you
Yeah.
not to? You are
Yeah.
absolutely the person that you've been waiting on to come and rescue you. Like sometimes you go through all of that pain so you can understand somebody else's pain and where they coming from. So
Absolutely.
now I accept it with honor and a smile on my face, and I'm just like knocking on the people door, like, yeah, it's me again. I still love you, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, how can people find you and your organization? If you can just shout it out and, have everybody follow you on social
Yeah.
media and things like that.
Yes, Honorable Women Inc. It's on everything really. I made it easy so people could find us. So it's Honorable Women Inc. on Instagram. We on Clubhouse. On Clubhouse, what is my name? You can join Human Sex Trafficking Survivors. That's my club on Clubhouse.
Okay.
Also on Facebook, Honorable Women Inc. And we have a YouTube channel too, Honorable Women Inc.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for sharing. And, it's been an honor and a privilege to share this platform with you and you giving us your story. And I hope it touched the lives of people.
Me
And,
too.
I hope it go everywhere.
Yeah.
This video go
Anybody need
everywhere.
help, inbox me. That's the other thing. I am
Okay.
down to earth. You can inbox me and I will respond. Like if it's
So
somebody
we'll,
going through
yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely. Inbox it like, hey, you're not by yourself. And I think a lot of people feel like they're by themselves, but you're not. You got to always extend yourself, always extend the hand. So I'm encouraging everybody to do so. If somebody's stopping you like, hey, they want to have a conversation. Don't blow them off. Just talk to them because you never know. Um, so I want to say thank you, and we'll always stay connected. Any way I can support, I'm definitely there. All right. So
Thank
yeah, any last words that you want to say before we end this live?
Just if this happens to get into the hands of a teenager that maybe you starting to go down the wrong path, and we know when we going down the wrong path. Maybe you
Yeah.
starting to feel promiscuous or feel a lack of love, abandonment, anything. I want you to know that I did this video for you. I love you. We all love you. And
Yes.
you can reach out to me and I will talk to you and help you so that you don't end up almost losing your life the way I did. And even if you're an old person, because it don't matter, really, age don't really matter. And you know that you secretly are going through stuff, or maybe you got a boyfriend that's beating you up and forcing you to into labor trafficking, which is selling your you know, forcing you to like work or whatever it is, or maybe
Yeah.
even have sex for his own gain or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm here for you too. So I just want to say that, and I love you, and I mean that sincerely.
Yes. Absolutely. And I love you, girl.
Thank you. I love you.
Connected. And you're right here in Chicago. And yeah, we gotta connect and we family now.
Yes.
Just letting you know that. Because I'm gonna be inboxing you like, girl,
Yes.
so yeah, well, we definitely connected. And I'm here for you and whatever, eat some chicken wings, some chicken, some fried chicken with lemon.
Chicken.
Well, yeah, everybody tune in on not next week, but the week after on the 27th. We have a special guest again. And I love each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in and make sure you share and make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'll see you soon. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.